Making the most of the movie's worst month. I'm Bill Newcott, film critic for the Saturday Evening Post, and here's our podcast, Movies for the Rest of Us. If you love the movies, you probably hate the month of January. That's the month when everyone's all movied out from seeing all the good movies from December that want awards consideration. And sometimes it's just too cold to go to the movies in January.
Why don't you come power walk with me one day? It'll do you good.
Have you seen what people look like when they power walk?
So January is the month where you get films nobody expects to do much business. Some are kind of charming. Movies like Humor Me, starring Elliot Gould and Jermaine Clement as father and son. Clement plays a struggling Baroque playwright who finds himself living with his dad at a retirement community. Of course, they start out completely at odds, and of course, there's a heartwarming ending. Gould is his usual quirky, casual self, and Clement, who played a clueless, struggling musician on the classic series Flight of the Conchords, brings deadpan fun to his role.
Life's gonna happen, son, whether you smile or not.
Multiple reports are now coming in of parents murdering their own children.
Listen to me. We have to get out of the house before Mom and Dad come home. Dad?
Then there's Mom and Dad, a super smart horror movie that takes that secret, smoldering resentment that many parents feel for their kids and just blows it out to nuclear proportions. Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair play a pair of loving suburban parents who suddenly fall victim to a global case of 24-hour insanity as parents around the world suddenly feel an irresistible urge to murder their kids. Cage gets to go full-throttle nutso, reaching heights of homicidal fatherhood we haven't seen since Jack Nicholson checked into the Overlook Hotel.
Here's Johnny!
Mom and Dad has a lot in common with last year's instant classic, Get Out, in that it wraps sly observations about the human condition in the bloody blanket of a horror film. Get Out was all about race. Mom and Dad is about the pressures of parenthood, and that flicker of intergenerational distrust that never quite goes out, but thankfully seldom bursts into flame. Well, things may be thin at theaters, but there's a whole multiplex of great films coming to DVD and Blu-ray. Here are my home video quick hits. First, there's Loving Vincent, last year's eye-popping animated film created from more than 60,000 individual oil paintings. The story of Vincent van Gogh has never been so beautifully told. Henry Fonda brings boyish charm to the role of the future 14th president in John Ford's Young Mr. Lincoln. The film came in the middle of the astonishing 2-year span in which Fonda starred in Jesse James, Drums Along the Mohawk, The Grapes of Wrath, and The Lady Eve. His Abe Lincoln sometimes gets lost in the shuffle, but lanky, drawling, soft-spoken Fonda remains one of the most affecting Honest Abes ever.
Your only option is job seekers allowance.
Well, I want to appeal.
You have to apply online, sir.
I was a carpenter. I've never been anywhere near a computer.
You need to run the mouse up the screen. No.
Not now?
No, not like that.
British audiences know Dave Johns as a stand-up comic, but he gives a searing performance in I, Daniel Blake, the story of an unemployed aging carpenter caught in the bureaucracy of Britain's social safety net. The intricacies of his dilemma may be lost on U.S. audiences, but you'll not soon forget John's heartfelt, sometimes angry performance.
When you lose your self-respect, you're done for.
Henry Drummond. How are you, Henry? Hello, Matt.
3 screen giants teamed up for Inherit the Wind, Stanley Kramer's sweeping 1960 drama based on the 1925 Scopes Monkey trial. Frederick March is the prosecutor, Spencer Tracy is the defense attorney, and Gene Kelly is the skeptical newspaperman covering them both. And look for future MASH star Harry Morgan as the judge, and future Bewitched hubby Dick York as the hapless schoolteacher accused of presenting Darwin's theory of evolution in a classroom.
I hereby declare this court is adjourned. Sine die.
How could such a thing happen, Dr. Grabau?
The ant's saliva must have gotten into Bill's bloodstream and gone straight to his brain, just as the radiation, which is measured in units called Roentgens, was released.
And that's how he became a...
Mant.
Gotcha.
Finally, coming to Blu-ray is a little-seen movie that is one of my all-time favorites. Joe Dante's Matinee stars John Goodman as a schlocky horror movie producer premiering his latest creation in Key West, Florida. The opening of the horror film comes at the exact same moment as the Cuban Missile Crisis. For some producers, that might be a problem, but not for this guy, who spent his whole career proudly presenting the end of the world.
The story of Matt is based on scientific fact, on theories that have appeared in national magazines.
Man, I've seen this twice.
Well, that's our podcast. For more on the movies, go to SaturdayEveningPost.com/movies. And for all my reviews, interviews, and videos, come to my site, moviesfortherestofus.com. For the Saturday Evening Post, I'm Bill Newcott.
I love this business.